Hi there. Welcome to Direct U.S. Immigration's channel, where you get direct access to our most up-to-date immigration and global mobility space. My name is Maitreya Brown, and I'm going to talk about a non-immigrant employment visa that allows Canadians and Mexican citizens to work in specific professional occupations in the United States. You're not going to want to miss out on this one. Stay Thanks for tuning in. My name is Maitreya Brown, and I am a U.S. immigration attorney based in Washington, D.C. I'm also the principal immigration attorney at Direct U.S. Immigration, where we work with clients in all 50 states and around the world. Before we start, click on the like and subscribe button to follow our Immigration Hub for the latest immigration information that could be vital to your case. So to create better relationships between countries, the U.S., in cooperation with Canada and Mexico, created the Northern American Free Trade Agreement, also known as NAFTA, which is now known as the USMCA Agreement, United States, Mexico, Canada Agreement. This agreement, besides its economic and trade benefits, also has traveling and working advantages. More specifically, the U.S. created the Treaty National Professionals Visa, or the TN Visa, to allow citizens of Canada and Mexico to live in the United States temporarily. So in this video, we'll talk about the TN Visa. So to qualify for the TN Visa, you must work in the U.S. in one of the professions of the list of TN occupations. You must also satisfy the educational standards and credential requirements required of that profession that you will work in. This classification permits you to work in the U.S. and extend your status over and over without limitation. On this visa, your spouse and children are eligible for dependent TD status. With TD status, your spouse and children cannot work, but they can go to school. Now, there are two types of TN visas based on nationality. Your TN1 is the visa reserved for citizens of Canada. TN2 is the visa reserved for citizens of Mexico. So in terms of the requirements for the TN visa, there are certain requirements to be eligible to get this TN visa. The requirements are general, education and work experience, and there are also specific requirements for healthcare workers. So the general requirements for people to qualify for the TN visa include that the applicants must be citizens of either Canada or Mexico. Their occupation must be on the NAFTA list. They must have a bona fide job offer from a U.S. employer. The applicant must meet all educational and experience requirements, and the applicant must demonstrate an intent to return home after the visa expires. So what are the NAFTA professions? So I've spoken about this before, and of course, to qualify for this TN visa, your job must be listed on the TN occupation list. The TN classification does not allow for all types of work. Your job in the U.S. must fit into one of the professions listed. So here is a list of the occupations of 60 professions, detailed here. Now, there are different application processes dependent on whether you are a citizen of Canada or a citizen of Mexico. Now, for Canadian citizens, you can apply for this visa at a CBP designated U.S. port, at certain pre-clearance stations, or at an embassy or consulate. For Mexican citizens, the only way that you can apply for this visa is at an embassy or consulate if you're outside of the U.S. So in order to obtain this TN visa, whether you are applying at an embassy or at a port of entry, such as at an airport, you need the following documentation. Typically, you will need proof of your citizenship, whether it is Canadian citizenship or Mexican citizenship. You'll also need a letter from the prospective employer detailing items such as the professional capacity in which you'll work in the United States, the purpose of your employment, the length of stay, and your educational requirements. Now, if you have a foreign degree, which you likely will, you will need an educational credential evaluation just so that you can indicate that your degree, your foreign degree, is in fact equivalent to the degree requirement in the U.S. Also, visa processing times really do vary. So if you are applying at a port of entry, say at an airport, your processing time may take only a couple hours. But if you are petitioning by mail, the processing time for your petition will depend on the caseload of the USCIS service center that's adjudicating the case. Generally, you can expect this to take many months of processing time if you're filing through USCIS. However, you can opt to pay an additional fee for premium processing, which will expedite your TN petition's processing time to 15 days if premium processing is available at that time. Now, one of the questions that I do get asked quite often is whether a TN worker can go from a TN visa to a green card. Now, the answer is yes in certain circumstances. So the TN visa is a non-immigrant visa classification, so it does not directly lead to the green card. So to go from the TN visa to the green card, there are certain circumstances that must be present in order to be able to apply for an adjustment of status or to apply for that immigrant visa abroad. An adjustment of status is when you change from a non-immigrant classification to an immigrant classification. And the entire process can be done within the U.S. without the need to go abroad. In order to do the adjustment of status, you must be lawfully present in the U.S. at the time the adjustment of status petition is filed. To adjust status, you must file Form I-45 with USCIS. Now, one thing to very much take note of is the fact that the TN classification requires you to have non-immigrant intent. So getting approved for an immigrant petition can potentially conflict with the requirement to have non-immigrant intent. So as you can imagine, requesting approval for a green card can be seen as clear evidence of immigrant intent. Therefore, it's highly important to work with a qualified immigration lawyer like myself through the entire process of getting from a TN visa to a green card. So this was a lot of information to cover, where much of it is highly specialized and complex. If you have any questions about your TN visa, or if you'd like to get help filing for a TN visa, email us directly at inquiry@directusimmigration or schedule a consultation. So I hope you found this information helpful. Subscribe if this content or information helps you in any way. Comment below if you want me to talk about something in specific, and share this resource because you never know who might need answers to these questions. I'll see you in the next video.